That had happened to me. Me sitting down had happened to me before. I asked that question and I just
He said, I love it.
That's my coffee.
What's that? Is that the mic?
That's sound.
Yeah.
So what you use.
But really, you were totally this like,
You get your video
yeah.
and you have an audio on it. And then it's married to
It's very interesting.
because the mic from the camera.
Like, it's
You just went my learning curve is
very well.
That's the Pope comes to have power.
Yeah, she can have
I said, okay, you say that, you know.
something's on for an hour and a half. Very much. It should be so perfect, but it just and that's the same show that she gave on
I don't see. From my teens, I would have been.
Yeah.
I was in a thing called Madden. Don't worry. I was there.
Down the rabbit hole. I came across Kenneth down the rabbit hole. How do you know Kenneth? Because I came across him down the rabbit hole. That is YouTube.
You want to make sure though because you think you're right. It's not necessary for them.
We should have one of those things, apparent action. Inaction. Nothing.
Does everybody know that the clapperboard is to sync up the sound in the picture?
I think I learned that today.
The clapperboard, it syncs up the sound in the picture because traditionally with film you were recording sound and pictures separately.
Yeah.
And you need a frame, there's 25 frames in a second, and you need a frame to be able to see. So when the clapperboard comes down, at that frame, the technicians can sync up the roll of a visual film and the roll of sound film, because without a visual reference, it's too hard to find the sound, the correct sound. So that's why I clapped.
Yeah.
So that you could sync the zoom with the picture and use the sound from that with better quality with that camera if you want.
Yeah. I get. Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, it's handy. It's good.
These days with digital, they still record sound a bit separately, but
yeah.
it's quality better.
Yeah, this is what I need to start doing.
Clapping.
Clap his head.
Huh?
Clap his head.
That's getting going, I'll tell you. The fourth quarter. We're into the fourth quarter. Things get lively in the fourth
Now or
quarter.
never.
Now or never.
This is God.
The question is, the me feels a hangover, but does the one feel a mega hangover or none? After having a few
There
drinks.
would be hangoverness or whatever for nobody. Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah. There would be a shitty feeling for nobody.
Right.
Doesn't make hangovers any better.
If you call it a shitty
It makes them worse, maybe. I don't know. Does it make them worse? I don't know.
But you know the line Mark Twain, a rose by any other name would smell as sweet.
Yeah,
So it's only shitty if you call it shitty.
yeah. It just is what it is. Yeah. It just, Thankfully, it doesn't appear to happen very much anymore. So.
If there's, as there's no I,
Yeah.
then why am I in this room here today?
You're not.
Okay, but
Excuse me.
there's some sense of me wanting to be here to gain some result.
Oh yeah, there may be very much felt that there is an I in the room. And if there is then the sense that there is someone who's sitting in the room at the meeting, then there would be most likely I need to get something out of this or in some way do something with this. But really what the I is really doing is survival. It's in survival mode with this. That's why it's not the I that's been spoken to here. The I isn't being addressed at all because it's seen as nothing but an appearance.
But the
So the I can't hear what's being suggested, and the I can only reject it or turn it into something it isn't. It's another good way to do it is to kind of filter it into what's really being said is kind of make it compatible with some view. That's a smart way to do it as well. It's amazing. People can sit through hours and hours of this and then not hear a word of it really. Like just turn or go away saying, or what I'm getting is that it's really the same as Eckhart Tolle, or it's amazing. And that's just a survival mechanism really. But the other is it's of no importance, no relevance whatsoever. Like what the sense of being a me that we have, how that is of no relevance to what's being suggested here. Whereas when there's a feeling of being a me, it's all about how I am, how positive in this way, and how it's this balancing act of I want to be more of this and less of this, and this neurosis of constantly kind of chiseling away at the me and how the me is. And the big joke is that what's being looked for has nothing to do with that. Completely irrelevant. No matter how fucked up you think you were or how together you think you are, it's completely irrelevant. But the me would feel that it's kind of has a sensation of maybe approaching something and being closer to it, and I'm more together, or I'm more still, or I'm more blah 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 blah. But actually what's sought is just this, which is there's no room for the me. The me is just an appearance in it.
I just feel that that is, and still and yet, that kind of hope, that old chestnut of hope that if one went to enough meetings,
Oh yeah.
that the energy, not the mind, not the questions, not the answers.
There's nobody
not the
going to meetings, yeah.
Yeah, but
But the
that's still
hopeful, the energy of the me is a hopeful energy. It
Yeah.
lives in anticipation of something better.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
it
this is a
completely
hopeless message.
misses the
actually.
point that it's already
Yeah.
it's already here.
Yeah.
That
The
kind of
hope
thinking
it's
in the
a
future.
hopeful energy. Being me is a hopeful energy of,
Yeah.
and this is a hopeless. This is why this is a hopeless message. It's totally a hopeless message. It has no hope whatsoever.
But there's no need for hope.
No, why would there be?
No.
There's no hope for something better because there is nothing better. This is whole and complete.
Yeah, which is beautiful.
It is. Yeah, I mean it is what it's everything and nothing. You know, hope is it's the individual that has that energy of hope, yeah.
Mm.
And then when it comes across this message which is hopeless, it can be confronting, yeah.
And did for Kenneth, did it collapse before you met this message? Like, did the message come after, if you know what I mean, like the hearing about non-duality? Did that
There
come
was
after?
an apparent awakening, and then there was a delving into all that world of spirituality, meditation, blah blah blah, reading all the books, and I was on the circuit then. You know what I mean? I was doing the spiritual groups, the YouTube was amazing because you could see anybody on YouTube. So you'd listen to talk after talk, and then it was very much it's all encompassing. It was just overshadows everything. And then I heard the Open Secret message, about 12 months of that approximately, and then it was okay. This was the first time that someone had described what appeared to have happened, and it was profound. It was amazing. It was stunning. And then that was kind of at the end, the beginning of the end. Then it was just, you know, and even that's a story.
Yeah.
That the difficulty with telling the story, people want to know, well, what happened to Kenneth?
Yeah.
Nothing happened to Kenneth.
I was trying not to ask.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You didn't ask it anyway, did you?
Yeah.
So it's just it's just irrelevant. It's just any apparent person's story of awakening is totally irrelevant. It doesn't matter whatsoever. But to the person, it's not irrelevant because they want to say, well, what happened to you so I can do something similar, which is the logic and linear way the mind works.
Yeah.
So if you did, and this is why there's an awakening, apparently, and someone comes back and sincerely says, well, I did meditation, and then there was this awakening, I was seeing that this is it, and now there's much more peacefulness here, and therefore sincerely communicates, well, you need to do meditation to see what I did, because that's the logic of the mind.
Yeah.
I'd say vast majority of people in that whole scene are completely sincere. They really feel that they can help other people because they got to a place, or they feel they've got to a place, and then they'll help other people get to a place. And then that's seductive to the person who feels that they're missing something, and then, well, this person is somewhere apparently, and then I can do this, and then they'll just be, it's like a meeting of needs. Then it's just this, it's an energetic thing, so there'll be a draw to, there's this apparent creation of a teacher and a student, but the dynamic kind of, the two exist because of the play between the two, and there is no student or no teacher in actuality.
In a way, Ken, surely it could be said about this as well, that people say, oh, this changes and you know, you're different, you're happy, you're contented, you're whole. What's going on?
You know me
you
very well now if they were calling me happy. You're a grumpy old fucker.
But I'm
No, I know what
not
you
actually,
mean,
I'm talking about me as
Oh,
well.
yeah.
It's not all about you,
Oneness,
Kenneth.
the
Oh,
oneness.
no. Get over yourself.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, I mean,
So,
like,
so you know, people will notice a difference, and the needs in the world, you know. And
Well, I mean,
when you're in that space of oneness, you know, that's them as well, you know, but they just maybe can't.
there is no space of oneness, really, though. There's no, there is only what is, and that's all. It's just energy, aliveness.
Yeah.
Even the word oneness, I don't really. But I mean, if there is to the person that they're engaging in something that spiritual wise, and then people say, well, there's a change in you and you seem happier, then that's what appears to be happening. It's not right or wrong.
No, but what I'm saying is that it's the same as meditation. That people say, oh, it could be seen as a hierarchy. Like, you know, somebody, you're in this space, or in this what is it, beingness, and
You're not in the beingness. There is only beingness.
there is only when you are the beingness. Okay.
There is only beingness. Yeah.
Okay. There's no
Or
you.
aliveness.
There's aliveness,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So the perceived, or what you call it, not perceived. What's the word you use? Anyway, the people, the me's around might say the what? Apparent. Thank you. Apparent me's around might say your family, and that they might describe it as you're very peaceful, or contented. What's going on? And so you might say, I'm just, I've gone to some talks, or I've been considering whatever in my life, and this has brought me to a place of peace, or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's the same as meditation. You're passing that into form of word to that person if they ask you. So it's the same thing, is it not? The hierarchy, I'm talking
There is,
about
I agree, yeah, I know what you mean.
do you know what
I
you know what I'm
do, yeah,
talking?
yeah.
So it's the
You're
same
communicating
thing.
it.
You're communicating
Different words, but it's a similar.
It's the same thing,
Yeah.
really. You're by being the advertisement yourself. You're communicating to all the beings, the me's, that
Except it's a complete mystery what's happened to you. You can't communicate it really, except
No.
by being.
that's what I mean by being.
But you can't really know what that is. What's happened to you?
But you're not knowing. You're not even anything. You're just being, existing, and that alone is the separation closes, because you are one with everything. You are it, and the me's that you were before, separate, is drawing that to you, because the me wants the end of the me, and therefore it's drawing to you, to the oneness, to the closure of that, or to the loss, or whatever. And so what I'm really saying, basically bottom line, is that it's the same thing as meditation. It's
For me, that's just a complete story that you just came out there.
right. Okay.
And that, from this perception, that's just a story that the individual would say. It's not right or wrong,
Yeah.
but it's that. And it isn't, from this perception, the meditation, the difficulty is that predominantly in it, it's somebody who's trying to get somewhere by becoming more this. And I know that in it there's people who say they're not trying to get anywhere and they'd like to do meditation. That's fine. There's nothing right and there's nothing wrong with meditation. But in the story of the person, it is predominantly something that the person feels will get them closer to something, which is just in the hamster wheel then of the individual. That's it's as simple as that. So this communication has nothing to do with meditation or anything that could be perceived in any way, shape or form as any kind of spiritual practice whatsoever.
Okay, but is that, like, meditation's only a word, and the word could mean the very same as what you're speaking about in some people's.
I would very much differentiate between what's being communicated here and what people would engage in spiritual practices. Again, I'm saying I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it, because there's nobody doing it or not doing it. It's logical. If someone's drawn to meditation, then that's what is appearing to happen. When this is being communicated, the person can very much put a judgment here, that there's some judgment on this, that there's something wrong with meditation. That's absolutely not being suggested.
No, I'm not
that
understanding
the
that,
meditation is just an aspect of the individual. That's all it is. It's of no relevance or significance whatsoever.
Okay.
Are you saying the energetic words around
maybe talking about whatever is not the words, but the energy behind it. You're saying is the same as the energy.
I'm just trying to find a way of explaining what I want to say. Like, for years and years and years, I've been meditating, okay? But something in that time changed for me, similar to what you're speaking about, but it wasn't through this form of hearing it from anybody.
Yeah.
It was through.
It would be apparently through it though, then it would not be. You see, again, we're back to the person feels that I did A, B, and C, and D, and then boom, this happened. That's the dream of being a person.
Yeah.
There's this, what's been suggested here is not a happening, and if the person appears to drop away, it wouldn't be to do with anything that
I understand
appeared
that.
to go before.
I understand that.
Yeah.
But it's just trying to find the right words. It's beyond concept.
Well, it's
you know?
okay. I mean,
Yeah.
there's nothing. You can't say anything right or wrong, and it's just a sharing in a friendship that there's a suggestion here, and then there's a if something comes up, it's there to be said. You know.
Yeah, it's very difficult to I have resistance, and that's me, to defining the difference between meditation or putting it, because I get the feeling that me is in there when you put a difference, a separation between what you're saying here today, or what your beingness is here, or what our oneness is here today, and then defining meditation.
See, that to me, that's just all I'm seeing, or all that's been seen here is just resistance of the me. That's all.
Okay.
That's what it is.
Right.
It's just me resisting, which is what happens, appears to happen when this is shared.
Yes.
The me is not being spoken to here, but it's the me will resist this in every way possible, but it's can resonate with what already is this, and there can be that resonation, and also the kind of grappling with the me. But the me is irrelevant when it comes to this. The me is not being addressed or spoken to here as of any significance whatsoever. I can only reject what's been said, really.
Is there any part of you that's grappling?
No, there's no part of me.
Yes, and there's no part of me.
No, there is no me's anywhere. There's no me's anywhere. There's no me's anywhere. There's no me's grappling with this because there's nothing to get. And here it's very clear that there's nothing to get. So if there was a grappling, it would be that there would be someone trying to conceptually hold on to something or know something, but it's just seen that there's nothing to know and there's nothing to hold on to. And that it literally is just this. It really, 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 really is a loss. And I sincerely mean that. It's not a theoretical loss, a conceptual loss. I mean, it's a massive, apparent loss, because this friend that we've had all our life of me, this apparent me that's so dear to us, is a story and falls apart. And that can be a terrible sadness for the person. It can be whatever, and it can be a terrible struggle with that. But liberation, absolute liberation, is the loss of that. And in that loss, it is seen that you are no thing, and no thing is everything.
Yeah, that's apparent.
It can involve sadness. It can involve immense sadness when it's sensed that these, for instance, if the parent person had concepts of spiritual concepts about oneness and Buddhism and this and that, there can be a deep sadness when it's seen that all of that is completely empty and is of no significance whatsoever.
Okay, can you debunk something for me then? Which is something around frequency. When everything's gone.
What's the frequency, Kenneth?
Let's.
I like it. Right on cue with that one, huh?
I'm really happy for you to destroy a concept if there's a concept, and because let's say there's life, aliveness happening, and it's just something about what you're saying there, that it seems that the essential quality is, I use the word love, but I don't mean it as in emotional, as in like a very, very, very vast, subtle, indescribable something, in the nothing and everything, that is broadcast, and that's why I use the word frequency, is that like by nothing. But there appear, and I'm happy for you to say this absolute story and utter bullshit. But the sense of something that is left to its own devices, essentially benign. You know, essentially benign. It's not neutral. It's not. I don't even know what benign means, other than, and I don't know what that love is, because it's not emotional love.
It's, you see, we're into territory where it's just not. It's not noble, or it's not labelable. We can't really. It's indescribable. But the closest you could say is, and people often say that what is and isness is unconditional love, and it's an in loveness with what is or appears to be.
But it's so precious, and that's why it's so important for me. I'm happy for you to say it's bullshit, but it's just something, essentially the wholeness that everybody is seeking. You know, when everything is gone and there's nobody claiming anything, there's not to get it to.
And this is the wholeness that, I mean, there is nothing but the wholeness that is being sought. So there is nothing but unconditional love. And so unconditional love is also playing the game of being a separate yearning me. So then that is just seeing that all there is unconditional love. Be it sadness is unconditional love. Whatever it is, that's all there is aliveness.
I know, I understand that, but you look at a healthy plant and a toxic plant, or you look at they're both it.
Yeah.
And yet aliveness. The imposition of the separate self is like a toxic. Even because if it was perfectly, I know it's perfect, but the impetus to go home or to be free of that illusion of that.
Is the question not the separation, like, of the me? So you are existence itself, and it is complete and utterly complete in itself. That preciousness that you are feeling as a human being, that's my that's what.
There's no differentiation here from, say, the analogy you had of a sick and a healthy. It's all just aligned. It's only from the sense of the person that one would differentiate. Again, that dualism of good, bad, sick, healthy, up, down, in, out, blah 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 blah. It's just all. There's no life or death. It's like we were saying earlier, the apparent loss of that person who was important and loved and everything, and it's just there's no loss, because that is aliveness or wholeness, being that body mind, and that body mind appears to stop functioning, and then it's just the loss isn't there, because what was really the body mind was the energy that was powering up, and that can't go anywhere because energy can't be created or destroyed. It's the basic physics of that we know, and that's as close as I can come, that there's just this isness. There's no life and there's no death. So there's no, all opposites collapse, all dualism collapse, because it's really from it's from this center point that there's one or the other. It's from this false center. There's good and bad and up and down and in and out, and it's only from that false center, which is the me. And when the false center falls, it appears to fall away. It's seen it was never there. And in all of that dualism was the me. It's not that there's a me who's in dualism. That is the me. That is the game of me. And then it's indescribable. You see, we're into territory then, it is totally indescribable. I can't describe it, you can't describe it, and nobody has ever been able to describe it. And paradoxically, it's just ordinarily hands clapping and whatever appears. It's so ridiculously ordinary. It's stunningly just ordinary what this.
Kenneth, could unconditional love be described as no need or no agenda?
Yeah, I mean, you could describe it as, that. It's also unsatisfactory. Like every term is really unsatisfactory. They're only
Yeah.
just kind of words that are pointing towards something.
In other
Like-
words, no,
Yeah, I
whatever
mean,
happens is what happens.
yeah, as opposed to say interpersonal love, which is
Yeah.
agenda led,
Yeah.
and if you do this, I do this, and it's
Yeah.
conditional. I
Uh-huh.
think that's what it's pointing at, is
Yeah.
really conditional, which we could take to not be conditional, but it really is conditional, because you have to, it's this game that goes on. If you do this, I do this, and we meet the needs.
It's
So the needs
unconscious,
are
but
met.
it's just,
And as
yeah.
opposed, the actual in loveness with isness
Mm.
is just unconditional. It's not that I will love you if you blah blah
I
blah.
know,
It's
I
not
know.
that even that it's not even no longer I will love you, because there's just no
Yeah.
I and no you, and there's just aliveness, and everything just is free to just boundless
Be as it
freedom then,
is.
boundless freedom, which also is appears to be bound, because if it's totally boundless, it will also appear to be bound as well.
Yeah,
So
can be.
yeah.
In a way, could you say this is in a way, it's kind of so simple, it's nearly completely obvious in one sense.
Oh, totally, yeah.
That
Too
it's so-
obvious.
Exactly, that it's nearly, that it's so obvious that you can't see it.
Totally. It's exactly.
In a way, which
it.
it's so simple.
Yeah. Too simple.
Yeah. Do you know
Too
what I mean?
simple for the mind. Completely. Yeah. That's
but
exactly it.
in a way, what you're saying is something that you could explain to a 2-year-old. It's just
Oh, your
that's
children,
so
yeah,
obvious. Yeah.
Oh, it's too obvious. It's
Yeah.
too obvious. That the mind doesn't like it because it's too obvious. It's just so obviously, just simply just this, and then the energy of a person will just continually reject what is in favor of what could be, and that's the whole hopeful energy of being a person. And all the while that's going on, there's the invitation to see that it's just this. It's
like a
constant.
genius, isn't it?
It's genius. Yeah, it actually is. It's genius to appear to hide by already being everything is genius, really. Instead of appearing to hide by being really complex and obtuse, it's actually more genius to just appear to hide by already being this. And then it's just continually being overlooked. Then appears to be by the person. Yeah. You can't, the ordinariness of it can't be described. Like me, I've continually said, oh, it's so ordinary. So it can't be, it's so ridiculously ordinary. It's just breathtaking. It's a leaf falling, it's a car going past, it's da-da-da. But we live in that special, not special, and we want things to be special, and we want the fireworks and we kind of go from one fireworky experience to another, and then want to make these permanent. So this feeling of getting out of bed and kind of feeling a bit groggy or feeling a shitty feeling, that's not it now. It's last week when this thing came over me and I just felt at one with the world, and it was lovely, and I need to get back there and make that a permanent state. That's the dream the person lives in, and that's the striving then from one thing to the next to move to try and do that.
You know, like we say a thing like, we have the past, and the past is like a static thing. It's there. It's all organized and it's recorded and it's there. And like that's taken completely for granted. But in a way, you could say, you say it's so simple. Like, well, where is it? Do you know what I mean? Like, say World War II. All these events happening. So where are they? Show me.
It's like
take them out and bring them out here and show me. And you go, but that's a ridiculous question. But in a way, that's the most obvious question. Like, where is it? Like,
it's like the children. It's like the ones that the questions the kids ask. Are obviously the most can be the most astute. And it's a kid's question to say, well, we dismiss it exactly. And I actually remember as a teenager saying to my dad, "But I don't think there's a past or a future." And then him saying, "What are you talking about?" And I said, "Well, like, and the language there at the time was, I just don't feel. I feel it's like one big long moment was the only language that was there, and he then just shaking his head. No, son.
God's sake.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which is obviously he's going to say that. Like, I remember that very distinctly, actually. Yeah. So it's the kid. The children don't. The children are indoctrined into it. Then of no, there really is a. There really is. The emperor's new clothes. No, the emperor really is wearing clothes, son. And it's not. He's not naked. And then it's like this conditioned thing that is and time. But a time is so obviously only an appearance. It's so obviously a clock. Time is a clock ticking on a wall. But then we treat it like there's the clock ticking on the wall, and then there's this independent thing called time that is real. But that only springs out of, it's only an aspect of the person, the time, space, and the causality, the free will, cause and effect, free will, blah, 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 all these aspects, like core aspects of being a human that are unquestioned.
You know, the way historically in spiritual searching, silence has always been the pinnacle.
Say again, this.
Silence.
Yeah.
It's kind of held up as there's almost a cult of the silence, do you know?
Yeah.
What is that?
Making something out of nothing. That's exactly what it is, yeah. Making something out of nothing.
And everyone goes crazy trying to be silent or still.
Yeah, once you discuss silence and sit in silence, you're making something out of nothing.
You're making it special.
But and you're taking nothing, no thing, and you're turning it into an object called silence, and then that you, as a person, separate, are going to do something with that will enable you to be something. It's nonsense. And it's very much sensed as well in this setting when there appears to be silence. It's can be sensed that it's very different to me saying now we will all sit for 10 minutes and be silent, and I count down the 10 minutes. It's quite obvious. I think it can be very obvious for the person it's very different energy about it. One is very organic, it's just what appears to be happening, and the other is there's a forceness to it that kind of feels different.
There's always the sense that there's some kind of amazing internal spiritual journey that's dangled.
Yeah.
Access to yourself that you can't get unless you turn around and go back in.
Oh, it's very seductive. Yeah, and it's endless. It's totally endless. This notion that there's a method to be whole again. It's so seductive, and it's really so understandable. There's such a strong yearning for everything. It's so strong, like paradise has been lost, wholeness appears to have been lost, and when there's this communication, I can show you wholeness again. It's so seductive. And then there's these experiences then of through the meditation or through the blah 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 that seem to be, the mind just loves to play this game of these experiences of blissfulness or oneness or whatever, and all there really are is just another experience for somebody. And it's so seductive. Then you could but that just plays out as it plays out. There's nothing wrong with it, there's nothing right with it, and that's what appears to be happening. And it's just that the apparent energy of that person will resonate more with doing them endeavors, whereas the apparent energy of another one will resonate more with sitting at the bar and having pints. But the person who's doing the spiritual endeavors will look down their noses at the guy who's sitting at the bar having pints, because they'll feel that they're somehow closer to something. There's a lovely arrogance in it than the guy who's drinking the head of himself. And they really, it's verified in that I really feel there's this real feeling of feeling closer to, you know, and whatever that stillness or it's just blah blah. It's just all story. And that's what all can all fall apart and all fall away. There can be just this openness to this boundlessness, and that sense of a contracted me can appear to just fall away, and it's a complete loss of all of that then, because that's all nonsense. That's of no relevance whatsoever, and there's no need for any of that. It just falls away. It's not seen as anything but a play of light. It's not, there's no judgment on any of that. It's just, and it's very obvious that the guy who's drinking at the bar apparently, and the person who's doing the other stuff, it's all the same. There's still just a yearning for filling this apparent void of me to feel whole. Okay,
Thank you.
lovely, thank you. Nice to see you.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Have another meeting soon.
Hi.
Take care.
Me loves drama.
Me is drama, yeah. Me is story. Me is narrative. Me is drama. Me is a soap opera. Yeah. Me is Coronation Street.
The
Absolutely.
headlines.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. To apparently a lesser or greater
Yeah.
degree, but yeah. It's a story.
Is there a chemical released in the body? I always feel there is, like to do with seeking. There's actually a chemical released
Yeah.
that kind of feeds the seeking, sort of.
It's
It's a pleasurable chemical or something.
It's a cellular thing that's in the whole,
Yeah.
overlays the whole physiology.
Yeah.
But it's in energy is the best way I would describe it.
Yeah.
But it's I wouldn't say that it's
It's not a
chemical
chemical.
so much as it's an energy that overlays the body's the functionality. But the
Yeah.
functionality is in no way interested in it and is in no way affected by it, only that it appears to be a little bit of a constriction over it, that's all.
Yeah. I just, well, this is, my own thing. I'm very interested in health, and so I Google a lot of, things, answers
Yeah.
to questions to do with health. But I just noticed that when I do that for a while, I feel there's a chemical released or something that gives me pleasure in that thing.
Oh yeah, it feeds on itself,
Yeah.
and that's what appears to be happening then.
Yeah.
There's no right or wrong with
No,
it.
I'm not.
And
No,
then
no.
that's the,
just wasn't
just-
thinking about the right
Yeah,
or wrong.
yeah.
Just,
and there's a very really felt, lived sense of getting somewhere with it
yeah.
for the person.
And the more
It does
I
feel
know,
progressive. Yeah, it
Yeah.
really feels progressive,
Yeah.
and that it's getting somewhere.
And then, on the other hand, there's the other thing saying that doesn't matter at all.
Yeah.
Absolutely no importance whatsoever.
No, no significance and no,
No
meaning, and
significance
and that
whatsoever.
invitation is always there.
Yeah.
It's always like we're talking about meeting. There is no meeting really. I mean, there's just aliveness. So it is sitting at a bus stop. The
Yeah.
invitation is there that there's just sitting at the bus stop. I mean, the invitation's constant. Like,
That's difficult for me to.
well, it's not
See.
difficult. It's impossible. See, the me is just being me.
Yeah.
again, like it's not the me isn't being.
No,
The me just me's. That's what the me does. Artificial addition is a good way of thinking about it. It's the artificial addition that just me's
Yeah.
until it doesn't.
Yeah.
Until physical death or before physical death in the apparent falling away of that me.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
It's just about illness and self-healing.
Yeah.
So the me becomes ill.
Apparently, yeah. Illness appears to happen. Yeah.
It appears to happen, and in the totality of existence, there is nothing to be healed.
No.
So, would that in itself bring about healing to the me, physical me, in knowing and understanding?
No, that's another story that the me would like to.
To
So either it just appears to play out as illness or health. It is both. It is both. So the idea that there would be some greater oneness that would then heal the me. So that's another me having stories about it. I'm sorry.
That's there's nothing to be sorry about.
I know. I'm just saying that it's just so bloody hopeless. Like it really is. It's just so.
Yeah.
It's so the me gets nowhere with this. It's just so.
Well,
And that's the essence of the communication is this kind of starving of this energy of me and continually pointing that there is just what is or appears to be.
There's no purpose.
No, there's no purpose.
There's no, it's just like, do you know what was coming to my head was 2001 Space Odyssey, you know, the black marble, that's just like a block of black marble and there's no reason for anything.
Yeah.
You know, it's, and that's that the hopelessness goes, you said, well, what's the point, you know, and I know that's myself that's saying that, it's Helen that's saying that, not, you know, that it's kind of, it's mind-boggling, you just you hit a wall.
You hit a wall,
You hit a black
absolutely,
marble wall.
and it's not understandable or noble.
No.
And it's just this.
Yeah.
It's just.
Yeah.
But then I think that's thinking about it. I think then you lose something about the beauty, whatever it is that's happening. You know, because it's like we go between thinking about it and talking about it and the futility of words, and then just experiencing, or whatever word you want to use, or meing, knowing whatever it is. Do you know what I mean? So we kind of go between one and the other, or we're just going between the two. So for me anyway, that's what.
There's kind of a going between mean and just being,
just
is
like,
it?
Yeah, just being and then thinking. Just back and forth.
Yeah. Apparently, yeah.
Yeah.
So that can be, but then there is nothing that isn't it. So it's a sense that's a sense for the person that, okay, there's just being, and then there's mean, and then there's being again. In an actuality, all there is just aliveness. So that sense of their mean is also just aliveness, and that's
It's like something you said earlier. It's just like totally getting it. You know, it's a bit like intellectually or conceptually. The me, you know, it's a bit like I totally get this.
Yeah.
And then.
Well, it's not. No, it's not gettable. It's not gettable though. It's not. No, I don't totally get this.
Yeah.
Because if I totally got this, I would be somebody who then gets something.
Yeah.
That would then be a completely different.
Well, I know. Yeah, this is like the futility.
When it's gotten, it's just this living, this alive. Wow! It's just this lived reality of just like this is it. Really, I suppose that's as words as can get me to it. It's just this undeniable. It's like saying the sky is blue and seeing the sky is blue and looking at the sky is blue. The sky is blue. Like I mean, it's that obvious. It's just so obvious. There's just this and there's no, and then there just is that then.
Yeah.
And there is whatever appears to rise in it is just, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't. It just, boom, thoughts, emotions, positive, negative, it's just full on aliveness then. And it's not describable or knowable, and it's also just ordinary.
Yeah. I just think it's it's fascinating in a way that we're I can use all the words apparently sitting here, apparently talking.
Yeah,
about,
yeah.
But
It's
it
stunning.
is.
It's
It is amazing.
as was said here. It's a mystery.
Yeah.
It's a stunning mystery. That's what we're sharing. That's what's being shared.
Yeah.
It's about a stunning mystery.
Yeah.
This is just stunning.
Mm.
But the me then, when it's there, wanting it to see the stunningness, it's like, oh, this heaviness.
I think even the bit for me, it's like the stunningness of the talking,
Yeah,
the talkingness. You know
yeah,
what I mean?
yeah,
That's to me is the stunningness. It's
yeah,
like bloody hell, we're talking about this.
yeah.
It's like bloody hell, meing is talking. It's weird, like.
Yeah, but from this
Talking
perception,
is weird.
there's no mean.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
apparently mean, and that's
Yeah.
when we're back to the word apparent,
Yeah,
because it's just an appearance.
yeah,
Because there is nobody talking. There's just aliveness appearing to talk.
yeah. But that's amazing.
Oh, it's stunning, yeah. It is, and it's going. What it is it's going from that kind of fuck it Monday morning me and the fucking job again and I have to call that fucker and do this and blah 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 to just this. Jesus, it's just there's just this, and it's just also this is just totally just ordinary. Also, this is the paradox of it, whereas the person just thinks it's lives in that special, not special, and it's this amazing thing.
When you say there's no one talking, do you mean like that there's no agenda?
No, here that there's just talking. There is just what is. There's just the sound of traffic. There's the appearance of cars.
Yeah.
There's the voices. There is movement. There is only what appears to be. That's all. There's nobody here. There's nobody in there. Nobody anywhere.
Yeah.
But there may be that there's a sense of being embodied here as a separate person, and that's what continually kind of comes up in the communication. Is that there's not even really anything to say, but that there's a question then, and there seems to be a response to that.
Yes. Yeah.
But that all that is perceived here is really just aliveness or energy or unconditional love or whatever, and it's absolutely impersonal. It's infinite.
That's when you say
It's infinite.
impersonal. That's why I say no agenda.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You
Yeah,
know
there's
what I
no
mean?
agenda.
Because,
Yeah.
that kind
The
of.
agenda is the person
purpose.
is agenda.
Yeah.
The person has agendas and lives in
Yeah.
agendas, and
Yeah.
apparently knitting. Apparently knitting.
Knitting.
Aliveness, apparently
Absolutely,
knitting.
that's apparently feels good.
Apparently have a lovely hat for Kenneth at the end.
I don't think white is your colour, Kenneth. Next time.
Put your order in advance.
Yeah,
A story could be made around that.
I could be the knitting guy. He's all right. He's interested. He's kind of okay, but I just bring some knitting because he'll bore the show. At least you come out with nothing at the end, but at least you might have some socks for your niece or something. It could be the new thing. I can see this catching on.
That's a whole new theme there.
Knitting me.
Stitch and bitch. Non-duality.
Yeah.
And that's that's the thing. There's a laughter about all the whole thing. Isn't
Oh,
there?
yeah, the
There's
whole
like
thing
a
is just-
comical thing about it all. It's just like, there's a ridiculousness about it all.
Totally, yeah.
And
Absolutely.
you know what I mean? You cannot put your finger on that.
No, you can't.
It's just
Yeah. It's
something absurd about it all.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like a joke, and then once someone doesn't get the joke, and then you're trying to explain the joke, and then it's like it's gone now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fucking killed it now, haven't you?
Oh, that's shite.
It is kind of like that. It is kind of like that. Yeah.
Went flat.
Yeah.
That's
The-
good. I think that's a good name for it too. No agenda ing.
Yeah.
An interesting one.
I prefer Stitch and Bitch myself.
So it is good.
Bitch that sounds good, all right.
Groups within groups, you know.
Mm. Are you back in the day job tomorrow?
Apparently.
Do you find that you're a social worker, isn't that right? Do you find that you're,
It's just a role. It's a role as might as well be a big man. I could be a magistrate, a lawyer, a policeman,
yeah,
a scientist,
yeah,
a house husband.
yeah,
It's a role. It's of no significance whatsoever, and it's just fulfilled like anyone else. And then from that perception, then everybody appears to be in a, like any profession or job is just simply
yeah,
a story or a role,
yeah,
and it's no real difference.
no,
You could say like, oh, if there's nobody there, it can operate more freely.
yeah,
But it's kind of a bit of a story as well. It just
Yeah.
appears to be.
yeah,
But there certainly wouldn't be anyone in it kind of evaluating as much.
yeah,
Is this going well, or am I doing a good job or a bad job? It's just the role is just being apparently being
yeah,
fulfilled, and then the roles then. You can sometimes see how the role can be a central part of the story.
yeah.
We'd often have several roles really. Father, brother,
Oh yeah,
worker, blah blah worker,
yeah,
and usually quite a few actually really. Sometimes you see predominantly it can be kind of 2 or 3, and then if it's one core one, I'm a barrister, and then I get disbarred. Then the fucking breakdown comes because who am I if I'm not the barrister? It can be a central,
yeah,
and it's a crisis then of like
yeah.
total. And it can be, and it's in the story. Then it can be quite obvious that some people their role is very important.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
a central part of their story, and other people don't give a hoot. Like it's like whatever.
There was one time, daughter, she was small, she moved from school, you know, and she said, "Oh, we were playing a game break time. It was shop, you know, we're playing shop." And then one of the kids came in and he stole something from the shop, and another person came in and complained, and we'd bar him, and we'd do all that. And she was telling me all this whole thing we were all doing, right? And then a couple hours later, my wife came home from work, and she works in a shop, you know, and she started telling me, right, you know, well, this, and I was kind of going, she's telling me the same story. do you know what I mean though? Except for daughter, it was a joke. It was all and he did. It was there. Where she Jesus, this one came in and she said, and it was for her. It had become. You sort of grown into that, and you played that role.
It's a reality. It's a lived reality for her.
Yeah. But it was the same. It was the same story.
It's the same, absolutely, and the same significance and the same.
Yeah, and that we were doing
meaningless now with both of them.
That was been doing in a playground, but that has already suddenly become very serious.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it's
That's so funny.
Yeah, it happened on the same day. Otherwise, you probably wouldn't have noticed.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I said, this sounds familiar. Do you know what I mean? so it's the same story over and over. So, except now it seems, well, you know, it's serious.
Yeah. I hope your wife was remunerated a little bit more than your child was. Apparently.
I wouldn't tell her that now.
Yeah, that's funny.
feels a bit torturous. No, and I know that's just another story as well, but I'm kind of sitting here thinking, God, you know, it's like, it's one of the reasons I left this, came away from this message a number of years ago, is that, you know, kind of hearing and seeing, and then being able to do absolutely nothing about it, and yet knowing as well now that it's part of me knowing as well that it's okay, that there's nothing wrong with the meme, but then when you speak about that fail that's there, that can seem to cause suffering, and being in a place of knowing that that's just going to play out until it plays out, that there's absolutely nothing you can do, feels like torture.
Yeah. That there's no you there that can do anything or not do anything.
And yet the play still continues.
Apparently, yeah.
Apparently, and the me and being and the seeing and the not seeing and the not giving a shit and it's like, and then it's like, can you just pick a different story, please? Like, can we just not do torture? Can we do another play? It's not always like that, but it's kind of like, can we do something?
Can we not do torture today, please?
Thank you. Yeah, you know, let's not do torture.
Rom-com.
Yeah. Oh God, no. Oh God, no.
Thriller.
Nothing. Yeah, because there's nothing to grasp at, you know, it's kind of, there's just...
It's totally hopeless. Like,
I know.
yeah, I mean, it's stunningly hopeless for the person. It is then, as it is, it can be torture, it can be this, it can be that, and then whatever it appears to be is it.
Yeah.
Which the person doesn't want to hear them.
No.
So if you say, if the parent person says there's serious discomfort here now with this, and then the last thing that a parent person wants to hear, well, it is that discomfort. That's the last thing they want to hear. Don't tell me it's the discomfort. Tell me in some way, a way that I can get out of this discomfort, or have it not be this discomfort, because the parent person doesn't want this, they don't want what is, or as appearing to be. Anything but this, because if it's this, then there's no room for me, and the me can just, there's no me. It has to be something else.
And then there's an impatient, like, there's cycles of, like, you know, kind of this, and then an impatience, and then going into a comforting teaching, which might suggest that everything is divinely orchestrated to wake you up, and the divine, the beloved is in every moment, and really your thing is just being so orchestrated because you're so loved, and this, and it's, or something else completely, like, totally schizophrenic, like, what am I going to do today? Am I going to, you know, we're going to do, or what flavour is this week to try and, you know, make the cell comfortable?
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
And being totally okay with that as well, because hey, look, all I've got is a cell, and I'm going to make it bloody comfortable.
Yeah, that's a smart thing to do.
Yeah, thank you.
Get the interior designer in. Frank knows a good interior designer. Yeah, totally. Yeah.
And yet,
it's
no,
just the blah blah blah.
It is just,
And then when it's go, what can happen is a kind of a rushing back, like I say, to the comforting message that offers something. But when this starts to be heard and starts to resonate, the other comforting one becomes less and less attractive, because it starts to be seen for what it is. It's just more me stuff, and it just the energy starts to go completely out of it. And that's just, it just plays out like that.
Yeah.
Just,
I get about a week out of it now.
Yeah.
Which is not bad, actually. It used to be months. So maybe that's maybe there's a bit of progress.
You're progressing
there,
nicely.
Getting close. Like.
You're getting closer, yeah.
Sure. There's a song there somewhere.
Go to Muji, he'll get you going. You get a month out of him later, would you?
I can't even look at him. No. Muji lovers.
Apologies to all. Disclaimer.
No.
But there's the bitching comments.
Oh yeah, I mean this is totally impersonal. I mean putting up anybody like that is irrelevant actually, to be honest with you. And there's no interest in that. But there, all of these kinds of messages that are reside in the me and see the blah 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 blah. It's like fuck off, you know. It's just such nonsense. It really is. And it once it fills the me, that's what's appearing to happen, and it's just this energy. And then that it usually is, like you say, for a week or a 24 hours or 48 or whatever, and then it's just and then it wants to feed more on it again and go back for more. And then he's my teacher. Oh, puke. He's my fucking teacher. He's your fucking teacher. I mean, how do you need a teacher? What's that about? Like, it's just nonsense. The fact that someone can have the arrogance to say that they're going to bring you or get you somewhere, but that's what it is. It's what appears to be happening, and it just plays out, and it's not right, and it's not wrong, and it's the story, and it's a play of light.
That's what the person wants.